In this video, I want to answer the question, why does 0 factorial equal 1? I think it's a question that we all have at some point when we get into mathematics and look further into answering some of those questions. Why does 0 factorial equal 1? So I'm going to take a mathematical approach that I think other YouTubers do not take, as most take like a pattern recognition approach from what I've seen. And I think this will answer any kind of questions that could arise with why does 0 factorial equal 1. So I just want to begin. Let's review what a factorial is. A factorial is given when you take a number, an integer, and you write an estimation point, and when you multiply all the digits up to and including that number together. So if we have 3 factorial, we have 1 times 2 times 3. So 1 times 2 times 3, 3 is the number we had, so we stop. And this would be 6, but we're not going to write it out like that. We're going to leave it like this. So in general form, a factorial can be written as n factorial, which is n can be any integer, would equal 1 times 2 times 3 times dot dot dot, which you've never seen dot 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 before. It just means continue the pattern until you get to whatever you're doing, or until your stopping point. Could go on to infinity, could do whatever. So n is our stopping point. And I think that makes sense. 1 times 3 times n. N can be whatever integer we want, a positive integer. So what we can do with that is show, that's just the general form is what I'm trying to say. So before we can begin though, we still have to write a couple more ideas down, a couple more factorials if you want. I want to look at what does n plus 1 factorial equal. Well, n plus 1 factorial would equal 1 times 2 times 3 times dot 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 times n plus 1. So it's the factorial of n, and then 1 more than n. So if this n was 6, it would be 7, because it's n plus 1. If n was 7, it would be 8 factorial. That just makes sense. It's plugging in whatever number it is for 8, or for the n, and adding 1, and then taking the factorial. What we want to do, actually, is kind of show one last one, though. I want to show n plus 1 times the original n factorial. So I'm going to write this out a little differently. I'm going to write just the n factorial first. I'm going to write 1 times 2 times 3 times dot 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 times n. So this whole piece is just n factorial. And then I'm going to write out the times n plus 1. And so what we did is we take n factorial, we multiply all those numbers together, we get some number, and then we just multiply by n plus 1. But if you notice here, these two are the same. So it means we can write it either way, which is an idea we are going to use in the actual not formal proof, I'm not going to say formal, but in the proof. So let's begin. Let's start with, I'm going to just draw a line. And so that's all the logic that we have to use. So let's start with n factorial, what we're trying to show. Well, I can rewrite n factorial as n factorial over 1. I can do that because you can throw any number over 1 as long as it doesn't have anything on, any number appears over 1. It's just we don't write the 1 because it's not necessary and it's just, easier to write. But we can do that. Doesn't change anything. And we can then multiply by 1. We can multiply by 1 because, anything times 1 is 1. But I'm going to write 1 in a very specific way. I'm going to write it as n plus 1 over n plus 1. You probably see where I'm going with this now, but if I combine these together, because it's fraction multiplication, so I can write it as n plus 1 times n factorial, or n factorial times n plus 1 all over n plus 1. And then, like we said before, this top guy is the same as n factorial times n plus 1. We can rewrite the equal n plus 1 factorial, and then we just carry over the denominator, n plus 1. So we just rewrote this in a different format. All it's saying is that n factorial can be written as this, and it's equal, so it can go either way, and you can use any step in between. But I think here we can actually show why does 0 factorial equal 1. So let n equal 0. Let's just plug in. We get 0 plus 1 factorial all over 0 plus 1. I can put in parentheses if I want, don't have to. So what I can do is, well, let's just simplify it. 0 plus 1 is just 1, and then factorial, and then 0 plus 1 is just 1. 1 factorial is just 1, and then 1 is just 1, and 1 over 1 is still 1. So I just showed that 0 factorial equals 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just answered a few questions you might have. If you'd like to see more content like this, such as proving things that, maybe that's a little obscure or misunderstood, please like and subscribe. Comment anything you guys want me to try to prove or show. I plan to make full course videos, such as like an Algebra 1, Algebra 2, College Algebra, Calculus, Geometry, and go through all those courses at some point. But I also plan to do proofs on the side, so if you guys want some proofs shown that like you have help, need help in class with, please comment below. I will try to get to them as much as I can and to the best of my abilities, which, sometimes my abilities will be limited or non-existent for your particular subject, but I am fairly good with what I can do. So if you enjoy the video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.